unmasked the horrible lesson right-wing radicalism has taught America. And this is like sweeping the country. This whole right-wing radical meme, from the weird and small and local to the big and national. You've got like Pastor Greg Locke, who was literally organized a book burning in Tennessee a week or so ago. You've got the people who attacked the Capitol, trying to keep Donald Trump in power, believing his lies. You've got during the summer of 2020, we had hundreds of people turning up in dozens of small American cities because George Soros was sending black people on buses into their towns to tear up their towns on behalf of Antifa. Another one of these right-wing memes that was promoted on Facebook that just literally did not exist. And we're seeing this now with the Trump, with these truckers in Canada, many of whom are actually displaying Trump flags, MAGA flags, which is kind of mind-boggling. You've got the anti-vax and the anti-mask true believers, and they're still getting in fights on airplanes. This is not, by the way, brand new. A decade ago, we saw this when some right-wing billionaires organized a so-called Tea Party, and they were paid for buses to bring these elderly dupes, these poor Americans who believed that Obamacare was going to take away their health care. Put them in front of TV microphones and create this AstroTurf movement, in quotes, with signs like, "Get your government hands off my Medicare." That one still has me scratching my head. And like I said, now we've got this Canadian trucker movement. And the result of all of this is that during the Trump years, we actually saw America shift in the direction of being less democratic. Freedom House and other democracy monitoring organizations actually noted that by the end of the Trump administration, America was a less democratic nation than it had been, and it was a significant shift. And in many ways, we're still there. In fact, I'd say the Supreme Court shadow docket decision day before yesterday saying that it's fine for Alabama to have, to gerrymander the state to reduce black power in that state, black voting power in that state, a state where you've got almost a third of the voters in the state are black, and out of 7 congressional districts, I believe it is, they're going to have one. There's going to be one black district. This is the kind of stuff that comes out of this. There's a real agenda here. And as far as I can tell, there are basically 2 groups behind it. Number one, you've got foreign trolls and foreign actors, and we learned in the Mueller report about that, the participation of foreigners in the 2016 election. We're also seeing foreign trolls and foreign troll farms still operating with impunity on social media. And I'll get to that in just a minute with the whole Canadian thing. And then you've got the right-wing billionaires who, have been doing this for a long time. Back in 1934, they tried to kidnap and replace Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And as I said, in the third hour of our program, we're going to be talking to Jonathan Katz about that exact thing. And these rich people think that fascism won't be that bad. It's at home. I've got a copy of Fritz Tyson's book, I Paid Hitler, which is pretty amazing. I bought it years ago, and now the one copy on Amazon is like selling for over $1,000. But I've read it. Right, I mean, it's his story of he owned the biggest, Tyson Steelworks. He owned Thyssen, I think it's spelled. He ran this huge. He was the John D. Rockefeller of Germany in 1933, and he did pay Hitler. He was one of the people who financed Hitler's rise to power, and basically he was like, we thought we could control this guy, and we thought a little fascism won't be a bad thing. It'll reduce crime in the streets. It'll stop. He's gonna smash the labor unions. That's gonna help us. And we're rich people. They're not gonna come for us. Everything's gonna be good. I mean, obviously, it didn't quite work out that way, as Fritz Tyson writes in I Paid Hitler. But this is what we've got: we've got these wealthy right-wing billionaires who think that if America goes all Trump all the time and becomes like Viktor Orban's Hungary, that they'll be fine. And actually, odds are they will. I would say that Hitler is not so much the model for Trump and right-wingism in America right now. I mean, they're borrowing a lot of his tactics. But I think the model is not Hitler's Germany, it's Orban's Hungary right now. And this, or Erdogan's Turkey. In fact, I don't know if you caught this, a Turkish immigrant who now plays in the NBA, the National Basketball Association, is doing an ad that's going to play on the Super Bowl about how when he spoke out against the government in Turkey 8 years ago, before he immigrated to the United States, they arrested his father, made him denounce him on television. It's just amazing. I mean, this is the direction that these guys want to take us. Our body politic is under assault, right across the board, from Middle Eastern kingdoms and theocracies to Eurasian petrostates. The example of democracy in the United States is not something many of these countries want. I mean, keep in mind, when the Tiananmen Square thing happened in 1989, they were carrying a 20-foot tall papier-mâché statue, replica of the Statue of Liberty. Not something that governments around the world that are not small d democratic want to have happen. And by the way, this lack of trust that's being built by these right-wing movements domestically and the foreign infiltration of them is killing us. The New York Times did a whole big special on this. Ezra Klein summarized it last week about how the number one thing that predicts a bad outcome from the COVID pandemic, we have the worst in the developed world. More people infected, more people dead, and more people disabled than literally any other country in the developed world. Why, and more than most countries in the undeveloped world. Why is that? Because we lack social trust. Why do we lack social trust? Because for 40 years, Republicans and conservatives have been telling us, government is not the solution to your problem. Government is the cause of your problems. And as we develop less and less trust in government, I mean, this works out great for right-wing billionaires, right? You don't trust government. Hey, let's shrink it down to the size that you can drown it in the bathtub and reduce taxes on billionaires. They're very happy with this. But now we've got this whole spontaneous so-called trucker movement going on in Canada. And it's breathtaking what this one particular news site has just discovered. I mean, it's I got to tell you about this. This is grist.news, and they are breaking some amazing news about this thing.